Hello, I'm Dave Gibbons, pastor at New Song. You know, I remember a few years ago when we launched New Song, and there were so many God moments just to highlight. One particular time, this man called me who had this foreign accent, and he said, "Hello," and I said, "Hi." He said, "Are you David Gibbon?" And I said, "No, I'm David Gibbons." And he goes, "Well, I have something to give to you. I must see you right now." And I said, "Who are you?" And he said, "I cannot tell you." And I said, "Well, I cannot see you." But then he says, "Hold on." And he put me on hold, and some music came on that was canned. And then he got back on the line and said, "Do you know so-and-so and so-and-so?" And there was some measure of credibility to him now because I knew those people. And so I said, "Okay, I'll meet you at the church parking lot. I have a Bible study going on tonight with this group of people, and in the middle of it, I'll walk on out there." Well, that night came about, and I was halfway through, and I looked at my Bible study group and said, "Okay, if I'm not back in 5 minutes, you got to call the police, all right?" So I walked out to the parking lot, and I waited for this man, and this gentleman rolled up in this car. He got out and said, "Are you David Gibbon?" I said, "I'm David Gibbons." And he goes, "This is for you." And you know what it was? It was a new car. And I said, "Well, who gave this to me?" And he said, "They told me to tell you God." I'll never forget that moment, because you see, there was a prelude to that situation. About a week earlier, I was in my old Volvo with my wife. And again, we'd only been here about a year. And I looked at my wife and said, "This car is about to go. You know, we need to get a new car." And my wife, Becca, said, "Dave, you know we can't afford one." And I said, "Oh, we better just pray then." You see, that was a God moment. You know, New Song is filled with God moments like this. And remember, New Song is part of this Third Culture Alliance where we're one church and multiple locations around the world. Our hope through the site is that you'll share your stories with us so that we can follow where God's working. And you know, once we know where God's working, then man, we can really participate with Him wholeheartedly. So come on, don't just keep those God moments to yourself. Share it. You may actually start a revolution. For one voice really does matter.